They might not be the sharpest tools in the shed, but sometimes a blunt object can pound your opponent into smithereens. Today, we're talking about the Bullgryns on Let's Talk Tactics.
Anvil of War! Let's talk tactics!
So today we're going to be talking about the Astra Militarum Bullgryns, or the Imperial Guard Bullgryns. These guys are awesome, big chunks of muscle, rushing up the table, getting into melee combat with your opponent and getting in your opponent's face to do some serious damage. And they're pretty damn durable on the tabletop as well. So let's talk about their statistics first. So movement of 6 inches base. They have a weapon skill of a 3+, so they're swinging pretty accurately. They have a ballistic skill of a 4+, so they're not as good at shooting, but I mean still 4+ for Astra Militarum is pretty typical. They have a base strength of 5 and toughness of 5, so pretty durable and pretty strong. They have 3 wounds apiece base, again adds to their durability. They also have 3 attacks base each. They come in with a leadership of 7, so I mean, with that being said, they're getting +1 to their leadership with the bonehead, and he also gets an additional attack. So really, with the max size of the unit that you're going to be looking at, which is 9, they go from anywhere from 3 minimum to 9 maximum. You're not really going to be worrying about that leadership of 8 that often, and it's still not bad. It's pretty decent. So moving from that into their equipment options, they come with basically 2 options for their shield, which is really increasing their defensive abilities. The slab shield, which is this big, basically tall tower shield that you see them carrying, that's going to give them +2 to their armor saves, which is 4+ base. So going from a 4+ to a 2+ base is pretty awesome. I mean, with a 3 wound Terminator equivalent model, these guys are going to be able to stay on the tabletop that much longer. The other shield option, which is the small little, I shouldn't say small because it's way bigger than a storm shield, only giving you a 4+ invulnerable, but not a 3+, but 4+ invulnerable for the brute shield is awesome as well. So the cool thing about this is that you can actually mix and match your units to have different shields throughout the unit. So you could have half the unit with one shield, half with the other, and therefore be able to allocate wounds that are going to cut right through your AP to the brute shields and give them the invulnerable save. Or if it's got a low AP value and you're not as worried about taking damage from it or it cutting through, you can take it on that 2+ armor save, and that's pretty amazing as well. Again, very, very durable unit. Now, moving on to their equipment in relation to damage dealing capability, we're going to be talking about more about the Brute Maul, which is their close combat weapon, than we are going to be talking about their the Grenadier Gauntlet. The Grenadier Gauntlet is an option for them. It's 12-inch base range, assault D6 weapon, and it's strength 4, no AP, damage 1. I don't really see a reason for taking this. I think that where these guys want to be is stuck into close combat with their mauls. So I don't really see a reason for taking this. If I'm missing something, if there's some reason to do it, please let me know. I think in future editions, it would be really cool to see these weapons either gain some AP value or maybe go up in strength a little bit, just because the barrel of the gun on the model is just so significant. It looks like a bazooka strapped to this guy's arm. So I feel like it's just not proportionate on the tabletop with the rules. So moving on to the maul. The Bullgryn Maul is a excellent weapon. It's +2 to their strength, so now these guys are swinging at strength 7. It's AP -1 and 2 damage flat. 2 damage flat's going to allow these guys to threaten some big stuff. It's also going to chew through Primaris Marines. Looking at you, every single Primaris Marine player that is in existence right now, which is probably about 75% of 40K players. They're so prominent on the tabletop right now, so something that's able to dish out 2 damage attacks at a high strength is really, really going to hurt your opponent. And again, with the strength 7, I mean, you're going to be threatening a lot of vehicles too and be able to strip off a lot of attacks. With 3 base attacks per model, you're also getting a additional bonus from their special rule. They have the special rule Avalanche of Muscle, which means they get +1 attack on the charge. So they're going from a 3 attack base model to a 4 attack base model, and the bonehead getting 5 attacks base. It's going to get better with some character synergies, and we'll talk about that in a second. But all in all, great unit, great equipment options, very competitive unit on the tabletop, and probably should be included in a potential competitive Astra Militarum list. Now, going into some of their synergies, some of the units that you kind of want to pair these guys with, for transport options, 3 of them can be thrown in a Valkyrie and jumped across the table. There's some shenanigans you can get up to with the Vigilist attachments and being able to jump them across the table, jump them out of the Valkyrie 9 inches away from your opponent turn 1, and maybe get a charge off. So I mean, deep striking Bullgryns is cool, but you're only limited to the number of models you can throw inside that Valkyrie. And that being said, bigger squads I find are better with Bullgryns. I think taking 6 to 9, I prefer to actually take 6, despite there being 5 in front of me. I prefer to take 6 of them, and I think throwing them in a Stormlord's a lot more competitive. Stormlord is a wicked transport option for these guys. I mean, there's some Forge World transports you can also look at, but the Stormlord just is such a distraction of its own. It's going to soak up so much of your opponent's firepower. So being able to run these guys up the table in that and then have them jump out 3 inches away or within 3 inches. So with the base size of these guys, you're getting an extra, about basically 1.5 inches. And then having them move and then be able to charge. You're really going to get these guys to be stuck in where you want them to be. Another unit synergy is the characters that you can put with these guys. Now, there's 2 character options I think are the strongest. One is the Primaris Psyker. So 2 of the spells that the Primaris Psyker can use that can really benefit these guys is Night Shroud, giving them a negative to hit. I mean, that can be really helpful in the sense that if you're running a blob of 9 of these guys across the table and they're not in a transport, they're already really durable, so throwing that additional spell on them is going to really benefit them. In addition to this, you can also use the Psychic Barrier spell, and that's probably the most common spell to be throwing on these guys, because what it's going to do is it's actually going to increase all of their armor saves by 1. So their 4+ Brute Shield is now going to a 3+ Invulnerable save, and their 2+ Slab Shield is getting an additional +1 to their save, meaning that you're negating that first AP on weapons, which is, again, really strong. I mean, you can bring these guys up to a 3+ Invulnerable save against anything AP -2 or lower, which is, I mean, it's pretty good. So the other character that really benefits these guys is the Munistorm Priest. Munistorm Priest is going to, within the range of his aura, you're going to be getting +1 attack on these guys. So they're going now from 3 attacks base to 4 attacks on the charge. On the charge, now they're going to have 5 attacks a model, 6 for the bonehead. So you can see where this starts to get crazy, especially with them having a high strength weapon, swinging on 3 pluses, and then also on top of that, you're going to be getting that 2 damage flat on each strike. So they can put out a lot of attacks and put out a lot of damage on some big stuff just by sheer volume. Now, you have to keep him within the range of his aura. So when you're charging, you kind of almost want him to be charging with them. If they're running up the table and they're not in a transport, you want him kind of in the middle, be protected. Try to use the sheer bulk of these models to block line of sight if there's any enemy snipers on the table, something that's going to be able to pick them off and snipe them out, because the Primaris Psyker and the Priest need to be protected in order to make these guys as destructive as they can be on the tabletop. So one thing I should also mention that I didn't before is that they do have grenades. They're equipped with 6-inch range, D6 shot, strength 4 grenades, each model. So moving into stratagems, one stratagem I do want to mention, just because it's really strong, especially if these guys are jumping out of a transport and you're really close, or you can manage to get really close to, say, a meat shield that's preventing you from charging that juicier target behind, you can clear a lot of that that screen, those chaff, with their grenades if you use the Grenadier's stratagem. So the Grenadier's stratagem, what it does is allow every model to throw a grenade that turn in an infantry unit. So you get to now make D6 shots with each model that's jumping out of the transport. You can see how that will do a lot of damage to a big blob of infantry or something, you know, like guardsmen, other guardsmen, or I don't know, any basically light infantry that you're seeing as a screen to maybe an enemy gun line. They're going to be able to clear through that and then charge what they want to charge. So it's really good in that regards. Moving from that, there's the take cover stratagem. Take cover has been FAQ'd. What it does is one command point. It allows a infantry unit in an Astra Militarum army to essentially get +1 to their armor saves. Originally it just said saves. That has been FAQ'd. No more shenanigans with that. Now they're getting just +1 to their armor saves. But again, these guys who are rocking the slab shields are going to a 2+ save because of the slab shield. Then you're getting +1 save potentially from Psychic Barrier, and then you're getting another +1 save from the take cover stratagem. So you can really get solid, basically solid invulnerable saves on them, or bump their saves up to a level that high AP weapons are still going to allow them to take good armor save rolls. So it does kind of reduce the effectiveness of the brute shields, because now you have essentially the same save as a brute shield. But that being said, you're not always going to get your psychic powers off. I mean, sometimes you don't have that extra stratagem. It's rare with Astra Militarum, but sometimes you're not going to have that extra stratagem, or you're going to want to save that command point, and in that situation, it's good to have at least a couple of the brute shields mixed into the squad. So from there, Vengeance for Cadia. I mean, obviously, if you want reroll hits and wounds on this unit against the chaos target, chaos keyword target, it's only for shooting. So again, with the Grenadier gauntlets, you're probably not going to be using them, but if you're using the grenades and you stack that with the Grenadier stratagem, you can clear enemy infantry out pretty effectively with that. So, and that's it. That's all I have to say about the Bullgryns. Just honorable mention. I mean, I don't really see a use for it, but you could throw the Vexilla toting Praetor from the Custodes. You could throw him into the list in some regard and maybe get him jumping in and giving these guys bonuses to their invulnerable saves, but I don't really see it being cost effective. These guys are already going to be a pretty big point sink in your army, so I don't really see a use for doing that. If you have had some pretty crazy combos and have done a lot of damage with that, using that Praetor, let me know in the comments below. We hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks again for watching.
Sponsored by
Thanks for watching Anvil of War Gaming. If you guys want to subscribe to the channel, you can click the icon here.
Primaris Priest.
Primaris Priest? Psychic? No.
Oh my god, that's a big tank.
Wrong. Ministorum Priest. Okay. Sorry, Ken, who is editing this. Not that Ken, but the Ken that's editing this, future Ken.